You know, last week I wasn't quite sure what I was going to name this series. It was between Bird News Sundays and Bird Fact Sundays. Last week I also released the very first video on this series and I made a mistake. Unfortunately, when I released that series, I don't know how I got it mixed up, but I compared spiders and snakes to the hooded pitui, which is a toxic bird, not a venomous bird. In order for that bird to have been venomous, it would need to have a route of injecting that venom into its prey. But after all, venom is a type of toxin, but I definitely did describe it the wrong way. That hooded pitui from the Papua New Guinea island is a small songbird that is toxic due to the beetles that it eats. So I decided after making that mistake and fixing it, which I went back and changed the thumbnail and changed everything to kind of make it a little bit better where it wouldn't confuse people. I decided that I'm going to name this series Bird News Sundays instead of Bird Fact Sundays because it's going to be a little bit harder to get facts straight when I'm just reading these articles and kind of going through them quick. If I call it Bird News Sundays, after all, news channels are always making mistakes, so it's kind of the same thing, right? All right, guys, so let's get into our video today where we're going to be talking about bulbuls. This is a request that I got last week on one of the comments. One of our subscribers asked me to do this on this specific type of bird. Now, if you don't know about bulbuls, bulbuls are members of a family of Pycnonotidae, a medium-sized passerine songbird, which also includes greenbuls, brownbuls, leafloves, and bristlebills. The family is distributed across most of Africa and into the Middle East, tropical Asia to Indonesia, and north as far as Japan. A few insular species occur on the tropical islands of the Indian Ocean. There are over 150 species in 32 genres. While different species are found in a wide range of habitats, the African species are predominantly found in rainforests, whereas Asian bulbuls are predominantly found in more open areas. Now, the articles that I started to find as far as this species go were all showing mainly the red whiskered bulbul and the red vented bulbul. And the majority of all these articles were talking about how invasive these species are when introduced into the wrong areas. So one of the main articles that I found was from the Scilly's Island. So the Scilly's Island is a small island that is off the coast of Africa, just north of Madagascar, and they apparently had a big problem with the red whiskered bulbul. Eventually, they were able to solve it over the course of a couple years, and they were actually one of the very first places to completely eradicate or eliminate a non-native species from their island. And this is how the article goes. It says, Chile's efforts to rid itself of the invasive red whiskered bulbul has been dubbed a success by conservationists who are now confident that the bird is no longer a threat to the Indian Ocean's archipelago's biodiversity. In its latest newsletter published this week, the Chile's Island Foundation, known as SIF, has claimed the successful eradication of the bird thanks to the 3-year eradication program financially supported by the European Union. More than 5,000 birds, mostly found on the Scilly's Islands of Assumption that lies 1,140 kilometers southwest of the mainland of Mahi, were being targeted through the eradication program launched in 2012. A combination of mist netting and shooting was used to target 5,279 bulbuls over a 3-year period with a local and international team of 3 to 10 staff. According to SIF, most of the birds have been eliminated by mid-May last year, with the last one being shot on December 18, 2014. So as you guys can see, they went pretty hard on this species, trying to eliminate it from the island, and they were able to finally get rid of it. These birds are very invasive, and although I don't agree with the methods that they use to get rid of them, I also understand the importance of making sure that the natural wildlife in certain areas are protected from invasive species. Now, this island isn't the only one that's having problems with these birds. If we move forward and we start to look at other articles, I found a couple more. One in specific caught my attention, and it came from Hawaii, and it was talking about a different species of bulbul, the red vented bulbul, and how this bird has been a constant pest in the island. Now, originally, it was only in, I believe it said it was only in Maui, where there were a few of them scattered around. And the main reason why these birds cause so much damage is because of their feeding habits. Bulbuls eat a wide range of foods, ranging from fruits to seeds, nectar, small insects, and other arthropods, and even small vertebrates. So not only does this cause a problem for the natural fauna on these islands, but it also causes a problem for agriculture. One of the problems that these red-vented bulbuls are causing in Hawaii is that they are attacking orchid fields. And this is causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage to those orchid fields. And this is one of the reasons why they are trying to also control that population in Hawaii. Now, how are they going to do it? Are they going to follow in the steps of the Chiles Island and eradicate that species completely? One will never know. We'll have to see what it is that they decide to do. And Hawaii already has a history of having invasive species. One of the species that has been plaguing them for quite a while now has been the axis deer. This is a deer that was introduced to the islands, and they originate from India. This is a deer that in India is used to getting away from its natural prey, which are tigers. But here in the island, there are no natural preys for that deer, and it has just propagated over the years, causing this to be a nuisance species, or a species that has gotten out of control to the point where they don't know exactly how to control that population. Now, they do hunt it and they do take it down that way, but it just isn't enough. This is a species that is very clever. They're very fast. And even for hunters, more often than not, they have a hard time controlling that species and getting rid of it. So as you can see, these birds can cause a problem. And like I said before, although I don't agree with the exact methods of maybe how they got rid of them, I do understand the importance of controlling these invasive species so that they don't hurt the natural population of species that are already on these islands or in these locations. And we've seen this time and time again with, for example, the nutrias in California and what happened there, the cane toads in Australia, the European starlings. There are countless examples of invasive species hurting natural wildlife. So this is something that has to be controlled. And it starts with us. It starts with the ones who love these species. It starts with the aviculturists. It starts with the hobbyists. We, more often than not, may be at fault sometimes for these things, because when we take on the responsibility of buying these birds while they're legal, and something happens along the line and we may set them free, or they may escape for some reason due to some of our negligence, it causes a problem for wildlife and it causes a problem for that species itself. I've gotten countless comments on this YouTube channel with people who, unfortunately, maybe they have the right intentions and they say, why don't you release the birds that you have in your bird room? Why don't you release the birds that are in the outdoor aviary? Those birds deserve to be free. They should be flying free. And they say it from a right place, because they're used to seeing natural birds flying freely, and it makes sense for them. But that's completely wrong. These birds are non-native. These birds are imported from different parts of the world, whether it's Africa, Asia, Australia, and releasing them into the location where I'm at, or releasing them in a location where they don't belong, not only is it illegal in the first place, but it can cause damage to the natural wildlife in that area. And more often than not, to be quite honest, most of these species do not survive once they're released because they don't have the food in that area to sustain them. The only way that they were able to survive is if with species that are set free in locations like, for example, Florida. Florida has a very tropical climate, so a lot of species survive here. And there are many other parts also where that can be done. But remember, it is illegal to do something like that, and it causes more damage than good. Not only because we lose these birds from aviculture, because once they become invasive species, places like, for example, Florida Fish and Wildlife has to step in and start controlling these birds. And then they say, you know what, we can't sell these birds anymore. You can't import them anymore. You can't keep them. You need special permits. And we've seen that time and time again with a variety of different species that we've lost from aviculture. Even here in the U.S., we have a problem with the red-whiskered bulbuls. In the 60s, I believe, there was a park in Miami that during one of the hurricanes, they got hit very hard. And due to that, a large number of these birds escaped from captivity and they started to propagate. They started to breed. And due to that, now Florida Fish and Wildlife has these birds as an invasive species, and you're not able to keep them in cages. You're not able to keep them without the proper permits. I'm not sure if anyone has a permit to keep them. I'm sure there might be a select few that have them. But there are birds that are very controlled here in the States, and there are wild populations of them because of how invasive they are. Like I said, in South Florida, we have them. There's also been sightings of them in Texas area. There's also been sighting of them in California, and so on. So like everything, guys, just remember the point of this at the end is to make sure that as conservationists, as hobbyists, as enthusiasts, we control the birds that we have. We don't set them free, and we make sure that we protect not only the birds that we keep in captivity, but the natural fauna that we have where we're located, because you never know which is going to be the next species to become illegal due to someone accidentally or on purpose releasing them because they can't care for them anymore. Like always, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we'll see each other in the next one. Bye.